JC Tretter met with a few PR people and he came up with a plan. The plan is that I'm not going to ever let anyone see me sweat and say, hey, that I was in any way culpable for anything that's gone on with the grievance hearing about injuries, fake injuries that we covered. I'm going to have to cop to that and just say I made a mistake. There's no getting around that. That was my name. But in terms of the collusion, grievance, quashing, let's not tell anyone about that. I'm got to make sure people know that's not me. I also got to make sure that people understand that I'm not in any way doing a Machiavellian plot to take over, which, of course, when you say that, you are doing that. But the plan is, let's play the family card. It's always one of my favorite things. When someone doesn't get what they want, they don't get a job, they're about to get fired, they say, oh, I'm quitting first. And they say, I need to spend more time with my family. I don't want to have my kids grow up without me being there. I give my heart and soul to this job, and it was just too much. He literally said, this is JC Tretter, over the last couple of days, it's gotten very, very hard for my family, and that's something I can't deal with. So I'm going to push back here just a tiny bit to the embattled JC Tretter, who is not going to be voted as the interim director because he's not capable of doing it. What exactly happened in the last 2 days? Are we talking about the fact that Howell resigned? You knew Howell wasn't going to make it. There was no chance. And now everyone's blaming, oh, he went to a strip club. That's why he resigned. That was merely the excuse that could be given. Lloyd Howell was not going to survive because of what happened with the grievances, with keeping things quiet, with all of the other things that he did. It had nothing to do with abusive expenses. Now, I've fired people over abusive expenses before, no doubt. The worst part is when it's not the final straw, it's out of nowhere, and you have to make an example because you cannot have expense account abuse. You know who you are. I've done it. When that is found out that Lloyd Howell would land in Fort Lauderdale and go to Tootsie's, that the thought was, all right, now we have a way to have him leave and he'll just resign 5 minutes before we fire him. Nobody's fooled by that. Were you? But if you're not going to be fooled by that, you can't be fooled by JC Tretter saying, hey, it's all been butterflies and unicorns with my family. There's been no criticism here over the years that I've been here. Barely public. No one knows a thing. JC Tretter's been in the middle of this story way longer than even Pablo Torre has been reporting it. And that was more than in the last couple days. JC Tretter has been in the crosshairs, I would tell you, for years. So when the PR person says, hey, we're going to make you a family man. Let's say you're resigning and not seeking to be the interim. And let's say it's because of family. What the PR person, unless the PR person literally stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night, the PR person wouldn't have JC or anyone say, hey, it just happened in the last couple of days. Because you ruin all credibility for any quote that comes after that. And there were so many of them. It's like he gave an interview, and Jonathan Jones was the perfect conduit for this, in order for all of you to make sure you understand, hey, I'm the good guy here. I don't want to plot against Howell. What I'm upset about is the fact that these players just don't care enough. We took it very seriously, our responsibility as chief strategic officer. I was very serious when we were figuring out the CBA and working with all of the different team reps, the management council. He even went back to make it clear that he didn't support Howell when he's been accused of, and there is reporting that is clear as day, that he was instrumental in Howell becoming the NFL Players Association executive director. Now, Tretter would have you think, I got to tell you, it was down to two guys and I was in favor of the other guy. As a matter of fact, my goal was to bring power to the people, Power to the players. Let the players decide, which is really team reps, but let the team reps decide. He went public, Tretter did, telling us that when the new executive director was voted for just a few years ago, that his suggestion was that it would be David White, not Lloyd Howell. But for whatever reason, the players went against his recommendation. So don't associate me with Howell. I didn't like him then, don't like him now, had nothing to do with him. The crazy part is that what Tretter said after that in this article on CBS is, just so you know, we were involved in the search. I liked the other guy, but I never told members of the committee what our preference was. Members of the committee did not share their preference with the team reps, with the board, which are the team reps. Can you imagine hiring a group of people, like having your executive council in baseball? And your executive council is made up of owners, and the executive council meets, and they vet people to buy teams, or they vet things, whatever they vet, which is a lot. And then they keep it to themselves. They call a board meeting. They stand up and say, we've spent 3 months looking over the books about Steve Cohn, and we just, we're going to do a vote here for him to buy the Mets. No, it doesn't work that way. What the executive council does is they stand up and they say, yeah, we've met and we've voted unanimously to blank in favor of him being an owner, not in favor. We are suggesting the resolution passes. What is the use of this committee if you don't share your preference or the results of your work with the board? What J.C. Tretter would have you believe, and this is typical, and it's just wrong, what he'd have you believe is that the reason not to share is not to influence. You're put in that position to influence. That's the reason why you're elected into a job, a position in a union or in a company, wherever you work. That's like you being the CEO of your company. Hey, I have my opinion. I'm not going to share it. That's your job, dude. Share it. But now it's done. And so what will be the result? The result will be that the NFL Players Association is going to hire a new interim director. There are a couple names being bandied about. That will happen this week. It will be clear that it's an interim director because they've got time before the next CBA, which doesn't run out until the end of the decade. And they will have plenty of time to bring in a full-time director. And believe me, the search will be quite different than the search was for Lloyd Howell, in that we will be told publicly, and as members of the media, all of the steps that they're taking to make this search the best search in the history of the NFLPA. You'll start to see articles. Oh, there's so much work to be done by the Players Association. This is such an important time. We got to find the right guy. Who can that be? And I say guys shouldn't, but that's why I say it. Guess what? All the things that Tretter says he didn't do, the Machiavellian things, trying to control the board, control the votes, making sure your guy's in, that's called a Tuesday. I don't know why people just don't admit it. Of course I was trying to control the process to my benefit. I believe that my benefit is aligned with the benefit of the union and its members, but I'm not going to push for something that's to the benefit of someone else and not me. All the people who stand up and say, I'm so selfless that I would negotiate myself out of a job. I'm so selfless that I would have a process in place that would result in me being gone or in me having less power. Whenever the results are that, believe me, it was not intended. I'm okay with that. The new process in the NFLPA will most certainly include people who are maneuvering both behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, from a PR standpoint, out-facing, from a PR standpoint, inside the organization, who are positioning themselves to have power. That's the nature of power. What's the use of power if you don't have it and if you don't have control? That's the whole point of it. Yet he ran from it. I understand. And he ended the interview with a classic. Just a classic quote JC Tretter did. I want to read it verbatim. JC Tretter resigning. He said, I'm not resigning because what I've been accused of is true. I'm not resigning in disgrace. I'm resigning because this has gone too far for me and my family, and I've sucked it up for 6 weeks. And I felt like I've been kind of left in the wind, taking shots for the best of the organization. Here's a little lesson when you submit your resignation. Don't say that you're not resigning for the very reason that everyone knows that you're resigning, because it happened right before you were not going to get promoted or you were going to actually be let go. Just have a quick statement. You can definitely give the interview and give background information to someone in the media to get word out. Sources say the resignation had nothing to do with X. It had to do with Y. We'll be able to look past that and nothing personal, but most people won't. But when you come out yourself and say, I'm not resigning for all the reasons that it is known that he resigned, and then you drop in, I'm telling you, please believe me, it's family. Give me a small break.